Hey everyone, and welcome to RUBIN'S Mind Lab, where we break down the latest research into what it really means. Ever wondered what it feels like to leave your body? Well, a new study gives us some incredible insights into these amazing experiences. Imagine for a moment feeling like you are floating above yourself, observing your own body. These are called out-of-body experiences, or OBs. They've fascinated people for ages, showing up in stories and even ancient texts. While scientists can sometimes create OB-like feelings in a lab, it is not quite the same as a spontaneous, real OB. The big question this study tackles is how can we better understand and measure these deeply personal experiences, especially when they happen naturally or are practiced by experienced individuals. So, what did the researchers do? They teamed up with 6 people who have had many out-of-body experiences over the years. They call them advanced OBers or advobers. Together, they created a detailed questionnaire, a scale with 48 questions designed to capture all sorts of details about OBs. Think about how it feels, what you see, what you do, and even how it changes you long-term. Then, they compared the results from these advanced folks to information from other studies. They looked at people who had OBs because of something external happening like virtual reality or special techniques, and also people who had spontaneous OBs, the ones that just happen out of the blue. This scale is super detailed. It asks about everything from what happens before you leave your body, like feeling vibrations or hearing sounds, to the actual experience of being outside your body. It probes things like watching your own body from above, feeling like you have a separate energetic body, or perceiving yourself as pure awareness. It also dives into the sensations you have, your perception of time changing, your awareness being incredibly clear, or even seeing things in 360 degrees. They even asked about moving through walls, traveling instantly to other places, and encountering other beings or entities. Plus, there are questions about emotional reactions like peace and bliss, or even feelings that are too big for words. They even included questions about whether these experiences help people overcome their fear of death. Now, for the results, this is where it gets really interesting. They found a huge difference between the advanced OBers and the other groups. The advanced OBers scored way higher on this scale. They experienced a lot more of the detailed characteristics described in the 48 questions. Essentially, the people who regularly have OBs or practice them reported experiencing a much richer and more complex array of phenomena. Imagine the difference between someone who has just dipped their toe in the water versus someone who has spent years swimming. The advanced OBers were able to report experiencing around 10 times more of the potential characteristics of an OB compared to those who had only one brief experience, or those whose experiences were artificially induced for research. The researchers found that the externally induced OBers and the spontaneous OBers mostly just reported the basic feeling of being outside their body. Sometimes they'd mention a little bit of movement or feelings of peace, but the advanced OBers, they were ticking boxes for almost everything. This suggests that the depth and richness of an OB experience can vary dramatically. It is not just about having an OB, but about the level and comprehensiveness of the experience. So, what does this all mean? The creation of this out-of-body level of experience scale is a big deal. It gives researchers a much better tool to study OBs in a consistent way. Before, it was harder to compare experiences from different situations. Now they can actually measure the differences. The study highlights that people who have many OBs, especially those who can control them, have much richer and more varied experiences. This opens up so many avenues for future research. Now, like any study, this one has its limitations. The number of advanced OBers they could study was quite small, only 6. That means we can't automatically say these findings apply to all advanced OBers. It is also tricky because these experiences are so personal. How do you objectively measure a feeling of profound connection or seeing another reality? Some things, like talking to entities or visiting other realms, can only really be verified by other experiencers saying they've had similar things. However, the study does point out that some aspects of OBs can be tested. For example, if someone reports seeing something specific in the material world during an OB and can verify it later, that is something a scientist can investigate. This is a great step towards making OB research more rigorous and verifiable. Looking ahead, this new scale is a game changer. It means researchers can now compare different kinds of OBs, those induced by technology versus those that happen naturally. They can also compare people from different backgrounds and cultures. This could help us understand not just what an OB is, but why it happens and what it truly means for our understanding of consciousness. It's a fascinating peek into the extraordinary capabilities of the human mind. So what do I think? I'm really impressed by this study. Creating a tool to actually measure something as elusive as an OB is a significant achievement. It moves us beyond just anecdotes to actual data. The comparison between experienced practitioners and those with brief or induced experiences is crucial. It really highlights that OBs are likely a spectrum of experiences, not just a single event. The limitations are understandable and the researchers are honest about them, which is good scientific practice. The future possibilities with this scale are huge. Imagine studying how OBs might help people cope with trauma, or how they relate to near-death experiences. It's an exciting time for consciousness research. Thanks for joining me on RUBIN'S Mind Lab. If you found this interesting, please give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment below. And don't forget to subscribe for more dives into the fascinating world of psychology and the mind. See you next time.